In this scene, Alessa is quite directly showing Harry what has happened to her with the discarded wheelchair and the blood-soaked gurney that is in the alleyway. The fact that he sees Cheryl leading him there is a big clue that the spirit of his adopted daughter is, of course, one and the same with Alessa. The siren that blares in the background has a hidden meaning, as it signals the feminine in great peril, as a desperate call for help. Alessa is doing the only thing she can do at this point, and that is to directly show Harry Mason all of the terrible things that have been done to her. Of course, Harry doesn't understand what he is being shown. Harry even asks himself, what is this? And what is going on here? He's trying to make sense of the mutilated corpse with its face covered in bandages, appearing to have been sacrificed and hung on this fence. This, of course, is Alessa, and the knife-wielding children in the scene represent the savage hatred she experienced during her time at Midwich Elementary. This scene in the alley is Alessa's first communication with Harry through the powers of divination. And Alessa is so powerful, in fact, that she can project not only Cheryl, but is able to bring Harry into the other world of her own living nightmare. Although it's likely that Harry's experience in the alley was made possible by the first seal of Metatron that Alessa created at Midwich Elementary. This also foreshadows what is to come at the elementary school a little bit later in the game. Harry wakes up from this nightmare in Cafe 5-2, where Sybil Bennett suddenly appears in front of him. Remember, just a little earlier in the opening sequence of the game, Harry drives past a wrecked motorcycle on the side of the road with Sybil nowhere to be found. And then suddenly he sees a little girl appear on the highway, having to swerve his Jeep to avoid hitting her. So what's really going on here? Is it just a coincidence that Harry sees Alessa in the road after passing Sybil's wrecked bike? Sybil appears and then asks Harry how he feels, as if she knows something of the ordeal that Harry just went through. Was Sybil Bennett brought here by Alessa in some seemingly innocuous way, the same way Cheryl brought Harry here? As I have mentioned in my previous videos, the significance of character names in at least the first 3 Silent Hill games are simply too important to be denied, or merely chalked up to coincidence. We won't go over familiar territory here too much, other than to raise the possibility that Cheryl may have been brought to Harry by a fateful guiding hand. The name Sybil in Greek mythology is given to a prophetess or fortune teller. The last name of Bennett comes from Latin, where the word benediction or blessing is derived. Sybil tells Harry she is from the town Brahms. The name Brahms, of course, is derived from the Hebrew name Abraham, one of the best-known prophets of them all. It just seems to me that perhaps Sybil isn't quite what she seems to be. At least what she symbolizes definitely has some significance. Just like when Alessa places the infant Cheryl by the roadside for Harry to discover 7 years prior, then it seems that she is also responsible for delivering Sybil, the blessed prophet, to Harry in order to assist him with the liberation of Alessa by searching for his missing daughter. How else could it possibly be explained that a police officer, having met Harry for the first time, and seems a little uneasy with him and everything that's going on in this bizarre town, suddenly decides to disarm herself and hand over her pistol to a complete stranger. Now, this is just speculation and wild theory on my part, of course, but Sybil Bennett seems to be guided by Alessa in some way. Or perhaps even Dahlia, as she seems to have more to gain from Harry's success. We could also say that both Harry and Sybil represent the idealized versions of Alessa's liberators if we want to look at the plot in Silent Hill from this point of view. From the perspective of the father and the mother, or parents that Alessa never had but desperately longed for. However, it does seem like there is something completely otherworldly and past the point of no return with Alessa. In other words, she may not even care about anything at all other than completely trapping the town in darkness forever and fading away into the depths of despair. However, there does seem to be a glimmer of hope buried somewhere deep in Alessa's soul, or her soul halves, as it were. It doesn't take long after Sybil leaves the cafe for the presence of the dark forces at work at Silent Hill to reveal themselves in an attempt to prevent Harry from saving Cheryl. Of course, Cheryl stands as the proxy to the liberation of Alessa's soul. The story of Silent Hill is being told in an allegorical form, with the cover story being Harry Mason's desperate search to find his missing daughter in this dangerous and haunted town. However, the deeper story here is the struggle of Alessa's spiritual liberation from the narcissistic enmeshment at the hands of her deranged mother, a high-ranking member of the religious cult known as the Order.